But first, there are thousands of unsolved murders in London, some dating back not just decades, but hundreds of years. The most famous of those, the Jack the Ripper murders, a killing spree which left at least 5 women dead in the East End in 1888. Now, 137 years on from the killings, the descendants of his victims are hopeful that the truth can finally be revealed. It all comes down to a shawl found beside one of the women killed. Here's Carolyn Sim.
The case of Jack the Ripper has fascinated audiences for decades. A man who murdered at least 5 women, but whose real identity remains a mystery. But behind the intrigue about him and the streets of Whitechapel where he targeted his victims are families who still want justice.
That name, Jack the Ripper, to me is just a character. It doesn't make him out to be a real person.
From Mitre Square, where her great-great-great-grandmother's body was found, Karen Miller told me she wants a fresh inquest into the murders after DNA evidence emerged which she believes identifies the killer. Her ancestor, Catherine Eddowes, had been forced into prostitution in 1888 because she was destitute.
I can't imagine what it was like walking those streets at 1:45 in the morning. It must have been really scary. The evidence we've got now that's been pulled together, I just think, if that evidence was around then, he would have been convicted.
As you can see, the blood stains.
The evidence was found on a blood-stained shawl next to Catherine's body. Russell Edwards bought the shawl at auction in 2007 and paid for it to be analysed. DNA matched that of Catherine's descendants and of a Polish barber, Aaron Kosminski, who was a suspect at the time.
What are your feelings about this man?
A sadistic killer that should really have been put away a long time before he was.
So what does it mean to you for him to be officially and formally named?
Closure for the families, which is really important. But really the end of, for me, 25 years of a very long story.
At the inquest in 1888, the coroner returned a verdict of willful murder. If a fresh inquest goes ahead, it would be the only way of confirming what happened.
Will this legal proceeding finally, once and for all, name Jack the Ripper?
Well, it essentially will, but we cannot say, yes, there will be a verdict that says this man was the killer, because the coroner cannot do that. But the way the judgment can be created would leave little room for doubt. And that's as good as you can get now. Obviously, you cannot try the man himself. He's been dead for 120 years. But there would be an ability to close off a lot of the chatter about individuals.
The families know Jack the Ripper will remain a famous name in history, but by revealing his real identity, they hope his victims won't be forgotten. Carolyn Sim, ITV News, Whitechapel.